Welcome back to The Explainer. I'm really thrilled you're here with us because today we are unpacking a truly fascinating text. It's one that completely shatters how we usually view the relationship between spirituality and career success. We're looking at Chapter 3, a groundbreaking text originally delivered on November 23, 1997, all about workability and enlightenment. If you've ever felt like your professional ambition is somehow, at odds with your desire for inner peace, well, this explainer is absolutely going to change your perspective.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Can a master of business also be a master of Zen? I mean, it's kind of the ultimate modern struggle, isn't it? We're constantly trying to balance the practical, everyday grind, the deadlines, the endless emails, organizational strategy, with our deeper spiritual aspirations. And a lot of the time, we feel like we're being pulled in two completely different directions, like we're literally forced to choose between the boardroom and the meditation cushion. So to figure out how to actually bridge this gap, we're grounding our explainer today in this pivotal work, The Laws of Great Enlightenment by Ryuho Okawa. This text provides a super unique perspective on the intersection of religious awakening and real-world capability. It argues, quite forcefully actually, that religious enlightenment and practical workability aren't contradictory at all. In fact, they're meant to deeply collaborate. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The work and spirit divide, 2. Buddha, the ultimate professional, 3. The Chinese Zen debate, 4. The trap of sudden enlightenment, and finally, 5. Uniting work and wisdom.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the work and spirit divide.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it explores our fundamental misunderstanding of what it means to be spiritually awake. Just look at the stark contrast here. On the left, we've got the myth of enlightenment. We kind of tend to picture a sage sitting in total silent detachment on a remote mountain, completely removed from the chaos of society. But on the right, that's our modern reality. We're navigating complex corporate systems, solving practical problems, dealing with people. The paradigm we're shifting today is this false idea that to be truly enlightened, you have to abandon the logical, fast-paced professional world. The source material argues that this separation is, frankly, a complete illusion.
Moving right along to Section 2, Buddha, the ultimate professional. To really prove this point, the text throws a massive curveball at our traditional assumptions. It reintroduces the historical Buddha, Shakyamuni, not just as an icon of peace, but as an incredibly capable organizational leader. The text points out that Buddha wasn't just sitting under a tree his whole life. Actually, he managed a highly complex religious order. He built scalable organizational systems to make sure his teachings could spread and survive. He led what the text literally refers to as a dedicated professional group. In modern terms, the Buddha was demonstrating supreme practical workability. He was a master system builder, kind of like a highly effective modern CEO, which proves that deep spiritual insight translates directly into exceptional practical management.
So the crucial point we really need to look at is right here in this definition. According to the text, workability in a spiritual context isn't just about, closing a sale or formatting a spreadsheet. It is the practical, real-world manifestation of inner enlightenment. You achieve it through logic, through the creation of effective systems, and through professional leadership. High-level religious enlightenment and practical work capability, they're basically two sides of the exact same coin. Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds. The Chinese Zen debate. We're traveling back to ancient China now, and the text uses this legendary historical dialectic to show us what happens when we try to take shortcuts. We're looking at a fascinating historical rivalry between two major schools of Chinese Zen Buddhism. On the left, we have Shenzhou, who championed gradual enlightenment. This is the thesis of steady, daily effort, emphasizing that wisdom is built step by step through continuous practice. And on the right, we have his rival, Huinong, representing sudden enlightenment, or Tongo Zen. This is the antithesis, right? The idea that enlightenment can strike all at once in just a flash of pure intuition.
Which brings us to Section 4, the trap of sudden enlightenment.
I mean, sudden flashes of insight sound incredibly appealing, especially in our modern culture where we want everything instantly, right? But our source material actually has a very harsh critique of those who seek this easy way out. The text explicitly critiques the bias of Tongo Zen, or sudden enlightenment. It specifically calls out the danger of seeking easy enlightenment while completely ignoring logic, academia, and daily effort. The author argues that bypassing the intellect, skipping academic study, and avoiding the real friction of hard, daily work just to find a spiritual shortcut is a hugely dangerous trap. You just can't skip to the end. And this slide brilliantly illustrates exactly why trying to take a shortcut completely backfires. Just look at this progression. Step 1,
You ignore logical reasoning and rigorous study. Step 2, you skip the daily practical effort, the actual work part of workability. And then step 3, you inevitably arrive at a superficial, highly biased understanding of reality. True depth, true spiritual awakening, it literally requires the friction and discipline that academic study and practical professional work provide.
All right, let's wrap this up with Section 5, Uniting Work and Wisdom. So let's bring these historical detours from ancient India and China right back home for us today. We need to look at the ultimate synthesis of these ideas. Grounding ourselves once again in the original Japanese text of the Laws of Great Enlightenment, we arrive at its core inescapable thesis. In the modern era, polishing your practical skills, expanding your education, and deepening your spiritual enlightenment are not separate activities. They are, in fact, one and the exact same process. This is absolutely the ultimate takeaway you should grab from this explainer. Your daily grind is your spiritual practice. You don't need to quit your job, abandon society, or retreat to a mountain to find enlightenment. Your daily efforts, your logical problem solving, your academic study, and your professional growth, these are the exact tools you use to achieve awakening. When you build a better system at work, when you lead a team with clarity, when you apply pure logic to a complex problem, you are practicing the very same workability that the Buddha himself demonstrated. Which leaves us with this final provocative question. Knowing that practical capability and spiritual depth are completely unified, how are you going to view your inbox or your next stressful meeting differently tomorrow? Will you see it as a distraction from your peace? Or will you recognize it as the very dojo where your true enlightenment is forged? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I genuinely hope this completely changes the way you approach your work tomorrow.